Okay, I just gotta say something. Holy cow, has My Hero Academia gotten so freaking huge and popular. We got the latest chapter, chapter 288 on deck. We're about to talk about that, but man, I saw on Twitter just a few moments before recording this video, ESPN tweet out a meme about, like, I want to say it's an Atlanta baseball game, something along the lines of that, with an image of Deku crying on it. The mainstream popularity and the popularity in general of My Hero Academia has skyrocketed, fam. Like, I'm sure other, anime have been posted on some popular accounts and shit like that, but just seeing this is a clear indication of confirmation at where My Hero Academia is at, and that's that we haven't got what we assume is going to happen, a big time skip, a big Z or Shippuden-esque type of scenario. Imagine when that happens. To put it into perspective, when Z happened, yeah, we talk about Dragon Ball Z, we don't talk about Dragon Ball like that all over the world, not just in the US. Likewise with Naruto, everybody was even bigger. Shippuden put the franchise on an even higher stratosphere than Naruto even was in its heyday. When we get My Hero, whatever the heck that shit is, My Hero Shippuden, My Hero Z, this is going to just be on another playing field, because ESPN tweeting like memes of My Hero Academia, we've hit the big time, people. But man, my girl Toga, Himiko Toga. This chapter by Hero, fam, we got a cat fight brewing, and it's looking mighty feisty to say the least. And damn, we got a break coming up. No, I don't want that break right now. Not in the midst of Uraraka, Uravity, fam, versus Himiko Toga in a knife death match, I want to say. I don't know, like, shit is looking crazy. Let's talk some of that My Hero Academia greatness, baby. We've hit the prime time, fam. We basically hit a home run, pun intended, with My Hero Academia. Let's do it.
Say we gonna do what we do, no matter how you move, make your move.
That's how it be, though. So My Hero Academia chapter 288, definitely a major breakaway from what we've been having lately. I'm glad that at the very least the end of 287 brought us into this, so it doesn't feel completely jarring of like, whoa, we was just in the middle of something else, because this is a big breakaway, of course, from the stuff we've been having with Shigaraki, which, don't get me wrong, the Shigaraki stuff is still my favorite stuff that we've been having of this entire arc. The battle, going into the Vestige world, Deku, all for one, all of that stuff has been phenomenal and shit like that. But when we're going to break away, and if we're going to break away from that stuff, because seemingly it's kind of, for the most part, seeming over at this point, right? Like, they separated from the Vestige. Shigaraki failed at stealing the quirk, and All For One told him, time to retreat and recover and come to fight another day. So we kind of broke away from that point to go into this stuff with Himiko Toga and her resolve, and trying to figure out what the hell the heroes are really up to, or just in general her questions, which, to be honest with you, from my perspective and in my opinion, I feel as though Himiko Toga would be better off getting these answers from somebody that is a little bit more in the upper echelons of heroes, right? Because, like, what answer is Uraraka going to give other than an unexperienced or inexperienced hero pledgling? She's not even a full-blown hero. I guess you could argue that, hey, she's one of the people that are the future of heroes, and questioning her resolve and what she's really after and what she will do to villains is thinking forward, right? Thinking for the future of heroes and shit like that. But I feel as though she probably could have got a better and more concise answer from a pro hero, except she don't really have any type of relationship, which I don't know if you'd really call a relationship with Uraraka, but I guess it's complicated in a way, because a real hero, a pro hero, ain't gonna pay her 2 cents anyway. They're not gonna give her any mind. So yeah, with that being said, the chapter starts off with somebody in an aircraft. They're seemingly headed towards the battlefield of where Gigantomachia is tearing shit up, or not even battlefield, my bad, it feels like a fucking battlefield, but it's just absolute carnage and destruction of massive cities, which Japan, as we know it in My Hero Academia, will never be the same. The amount of rebuilding it's going to take years. It's going to take another massive time skip in order to get to that particular point, because just seeing the carnage and destruction is like, come on fam, city after city, what Shigaraki did to the hospital up there, like this is just carnage. And the theories of having to flee to America or just going to a different setting in general is very plausible when you just see chapters like this of what Gigantomachia has done. But the person headed to the aircraft is shadowed out, and there is a reference from the pilot like, hey, this isn't Mirko, this isn't Hawks, it takes us a little bit of time. And from the sleeve and shit like that, I'm wondering exactly who it could be. There was theories at first of like maybe somebody from the US, a hero from the US came in, but them referencing Mirko and Hawks seems a little bit like they're more familiar with these people, so I'm imagining it's somebody like a hero that we already know. I'm thinking it could be because they said like, oh, you haven't healed up all the way. Maybe it's Best Genius, and you know, he faked his death, so to speak, with the whole Dabi situation, so it could very well be Best Genius, or maybe Gang Orca. Gang Orca looks like he would go and put in work, so I'm wondering exactly who it is. It feels like it would make sense for it to be Best Genius, and again, I haven't seen any theories, so I'm not sure exactly what the fandom is saying, but my theories that I'm going off, it could be Best Genius, Gang Orca, or again, maybe somebody totally different. But either way, it has to be somebody I feel that is familiar with Mirko and Hawks, because like the way it was spoken, but who knows, maybe they were just referencing them because they're really popular heroes even in America. Whoever it is, good luck with Gigantomachia, because until he gets to master and gets to grab him and bounce and shit like that, Gigantomachia, the absolute monster that he is. But we cut to the League of Villains, and they are basically spying on the surroundings of everybody, and they find out, they hear the conversation, so it's kind of shitty that, like, first of all, the villains, they just have a lock on everything. They even get to know what the heroes are planning if they're talking through intercoms and shit like that, because they're just listening to whatever's happening. And of course, one of the things that Toga has been dying, which I thought it would have been a chapter or two more of like, okay, she says she wants to find them, but in the very next chapter, on the little, you know, computer that they're looking, the surroundings, satellite surroundings and shit like that, she sees Froppy and Uraraka as they're trying to save people, and she's like, oh, it's time, baby, it's game time, we're about to have a nice little cat to frog fight. But something that was very, very vital, important, and integral to where the League of Villains are at today, like in the beginning of the series, which mind you, Toga wasn't there in the beginning, the very, very beginnings of the League of Villains and shit like that. She actually showed up, I want to say it was after Stain, and if I'm not mistaken, she was like a big Stain fan at first and stuff like that, which also kind of goes into her resolve and what she's really all about. If you think about it, Shigaraki is into total destruction. She more so, if I'm not mistaken, idolized the ideologies of Stain and what he really stood for. So there's where something that I'm going to talk about in a little bit kind of comes into. But if you really look at it right now, you see that the League of Villains really care about each other. Like, mind you, when they're having the conversation, you see Dabi, like, he don't really give a shit, because Dabi is a different breed altogether. He don't really fuck with Shigaraki like that. He's with his own interests in mind, and he's just using the League as a means to an end. Maybe somewhere in there, he might feel a little bit like, hey, you know, if shit goes down, they'll have my back, so that's good as far as a tool, but he's like the separate entity amongst this crew, because you see, like, you got Mr. Compress is kind of like worried about Toga and shit like that, because she's gearing up and ready to bounce and, you know, pounce on Uraraka and Tsuyu Froppy. But there is something to note about the camaraderie that has really come into its own with this group, and I say it every video, but I gotta keep on saying it, and that's why I love the villains so much, is that the way Horikoshi has positioned them, it really feels like, in their mind, first of all, they truly feel like they're the good guys in a certain regard, that they're the ones in the right for the way they feel, the way they act, and that's why they have each other's back. They feel like they're actually a collective, and that they actually care of one another to a certain degree. Because even Spinner says something like, yo, I know we're villains, and one of the things of us is like, we do whatever we want, that's cool and all, and even though we came together by chance, you know, basically, I do care about you, and you better make sure you come back in one piece. And just seeing that whole image of them together and whatnot, it shows that they do care of one another. So anything bad that happens to them, we were going to feel the same way we would feel if something happens to the heroes. Just as like we grew with the heroes, the last, I don't even know, year or two of My Hero has really gave us an idea of the bond that they have with the villains, the League of Villains, not the whole Liberation Army combination and shit like that, just mainly the League, Toga, and them, and the fact that Twice's death also took a toll on them. Spinner's like, yo, you're not the only one that's suffering from that. I cared about him too. So it just gives you this vibe of like, you really want to fucking root for them, even though you know that they're to a certain degree in the wrong. Like at the end of the day, especially Shigaraki wants to just kill everything. Their ideologies, they might be in the wrong, but my gosh, I don't know, the character development and the characterization we get with them is like, I feel bad. And we cut to Uraraka saving people, of course. You see, like, just from all the destruction and chaos, and she runs into an old lady that is like, hey, help me, which you gotta, I guess, equate it to the inexperience of Uraraka, because she starts catching on little by little, like, yo, this old lady that she wants help to pick up her husband because he's too heavy or whatever, but she's running awfully fast, and she's luring me into this alleyway. A pro hero that is a little more experienced might have not been caught up by that, you know, trick that Toga pulled on her, because it's revealed we see in an alley, Toga's naked, of course, because she just used her transformation to pretend to be that old lady to lure Uraraka in there. But again, a pro hero probably, I mean, don't get me wrong, anybody can get tricked, but would have been able to discern the situation a little bit better and be like, wait a minute, this might be a trap. Let's not forget there's villains all over the place and who knows what they're capable of. And Toga's like, oh fam, man, I really wanted Tsuyu to show up as well. She's one of my great friends, and Deku, I love when he's all beaten up, like, yo, her savagery. And then she even compliments Uraraka, like, oh, and you're so awesome as well. And then all of a sudden just jumps on the bitch with a knife and is like, what do you really want to do to me? You can tell that Twice's death, I mean, through and through, has just been so impactful on her psyche. She was already kind of like, you know, you get her backstory of what happened to her in her past and shit like that, and led her to becoming the person she is. But then when she might have had a shred of hope about the heroes and, you know, what their life is like, and maybe even a shred of doubt on what she's doing, then the thing happened to Twice with Hawks. So now she's just trying to figure it all out. Like, yo, that was a shred of hope that maybe the world isn't all that bad, and that's why she's doing it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's fucked up, and even Uraraka's like, so let me get this straight. You killed this old lady, took her blood and her identity, just to ask me this question, which you gotta think for Toga, that's disrespectful. Like, this question is everything to me, everything of where I'm going forward, but it's still like, you killed an old lady and took her blood, fam. Like, no, fuck you for that. Then Uraraka proclaims, basically, like, yo, fam, you're interrupting what I'm trying to do. If you stop me from saving people, then I'm gonna have to stop you here and now. And the chapter ends with Toga laying on top of Uraraka in confusion of like, yo, what are you doing? Because she basically says to, what do you want to do to me? Which again, that goes back into her trying to understand the heroes. Like, if Hawks, or any hero for that matter, was able to justify killing Twice, like, that's still a person. That's her trying to find her resolve. We'll get more obviously when the next chapter comes in 2 weeks, because we got a break coming up. But very, very awesome setup for this. It's not as grandiose as the chapters we've had the last few weeks or so with Shigaraki and all that stuff. Definitely going into a sideline, but I'm totally fine with this. This is stuff that we need. It's still one of the main, you know, the League of Villains, Toga. We still got one of the heroes, Uraraka, giving again more of the, not side characters, because she's technically like the female lead protagonist of, you know, UA and shit like that, of the story for that matter. But I'm fine with this, and I'm rocking with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this all goes. To be honest with you, I'm seeing, which is something that I referenced earlier, now I could dive more into it, that Toga could very well go into a different direction. She might not join the heroes. They might, obviously, they're not going to allow her. Like, she's a murderer. She's done some horrible things and shit like that. So she would have to go to jail for a long time. That's not going to happen. I could very well see Toga going the route what a lot of people thought maybe Todoroki at one given point would have went, or even a Bakugo. She could probably go the route of vigilante. Say, yo, the League, y'all wrong. Shigaraki's just fucking crazy, which would be ironic because you're crazy too, girl. But, you know, she could think they're crazy, but I also can't rock with these hypocrites, the heroes. I want to save people on my own accord and do the right thing my way. So that could very well lead Toga, if we get a big time skip, to her showing up and becoming like a vigilante, like a Batman, which would be insane. And I'm sure in comic history there's plenty of females that were vigilantes and shit like that, but for the My Hero world, this is going to be very interesting, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm all here for it. Toga's character development, where she's at right now, it's like, it's just a smidge more. Whatever happens in this fight is going to determine where Toga's character moves going forward with the My Hero Academia story. But I'm curious what you guys thought about this chapter. Where do you think this is going to go? Who's going to win? Who do you got your money on right now? Uraraka or Toga? I ain't gonna lie, I gotta rock with Toga. I don't want Uraraka dead, and I know she's not gonna die, but let me not say I know, because then all of a sudden I'll be proven wrong like recent times with my Boruto videos. But yeah, she's not gonna die. And do you think there's a possibility that after everything is said and done with this battle and she finds her resolve, that she could potentially become a vigilante? Not necessarily becoming a hero, but playing by her own rules and doing the right thing according to the way she sees fit. And your overall thoughts and expectations for the My Hero Academia with chapter 2 289 and beyond. Again, no chapter next week, break, bummer, all that stuff, but Horikoshi's working on something big according to a recent author comment, so we gotta wait and see what's about to come. So I have for this one though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you like anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day, and remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life. Bye. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and boy, I can't wait for that next chapter. I'm gonna have my popcorn ready. It's like, ooh, a good old cat fight. Let's go.
It's nights like this, and times like this, what's that I can give another hit. But I've got this inside a switch, a natural bliss, but that I